And then the promoter runs out and goes like, guys, I'm so sorry, man. I know that was really weird. I mean, it was so fucked up the way it happened. It's like the van caught on fire and like really messed up. I'm like, yeah, it would have been nice to know before we got on stage.
Welcome to This Is Not Happening. I'm your host, Roy Wood Jr. Think about your best friend, your spouse, your partner. You spend enough time with anybody, they are going to annoy you. They'll never truly get you, which is why I came up with a solution. You're my soulmate,
This is
bro.
my favorite video game.
Are you my friend and my daddy? No, not yet. No. A pee-pee. You know him from the band Chromeo, Dave Macklovitch.
So I'm in a band with my best friend, my childhood best friend. We've been like homies since we were 15 years old. His name is P. And we did everything together. Like literally, this is like my best friend since the teenage years. So, you know, we did the slumber parties, the sleepovers, bought our first porno magazines together. I remember when the magazines ran out, he taught me how to use the internet. I taught him how to play guitar. He taught me how to like use a drum machine. He taught my brother how to drive. We used to take road trips from Montreal, this is our hometown, from Montreal, Canada, all the way down to Miami. After high school, we went to 2 different colleges, and then like things started to drift a little bit. So I went to grad school, I moved to New York City, he went to one college, and after college, he kind of was stuck a little bit. Like he didn't have much going on. And I'm in grad school, I feel great, and then my man's back home. I remember like he was selling didgeridoos from the back of his Toyota RAV4. And I was like, okay, this is weird. Like this guy's stuck, you know, he's in a bad place. So I moved to New York City, and my friends had a record label, and they were like, well, Dave, you do music, like why don't we just sign you? And I was like, yeah, sure, but you know what? I should involve my friend P because I wanted to hang out with him again. I missed him, you know? Like I missed the high school days of us being like attached at the hip. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna sign P. So we had a band, we had a record deal, we didn't have any music. All right, we gotta figure out what kind of music to play. So I saw a hole in the marketplace because I was like, you know, at every bar mitzvah, they're playing Kool and the Gang, and yet there's no band doing like a modern version of Kool and the Gang. There was like literally nobody was doing this. This is like 2001, 2002. No one was doing this. So I was like, we're gonna do 80s inspired, you know, electro funk. Great. So this is how Chromeo was born. All right. So I'm in New York City. P and I are playing shows and they're not feeling us. Like I just remember we'd playing for like 8 people, 12 people. Like New Yorkers are jaded to begin with. So like they didn't get my vision that Rick James was like a modern day Liberace and that we had to just kind of like defend his musical heritage. They were just not down with the Hall & Oates thing we were doing. So the record label goes, okay, we got to get people to know you guys, so we're going to put you on tour. Great, perfect. So we get the RAV4, take the didgeridoos out, put the gear in, pack the car, hit the road. So we start playing shows, and people were still not liking us. But at least we're not in New York. It's cool. Like, it's fine. I'm with my best buddy. We're driving. We're laughing. We're listening to music. We got to play 1 show a night. It's not the end of the world. But it's still 8 people, 9 people. And then we get to the Northwest, and weirdly, everything changes. So we get to Vancouver, and it's 100 people. I'm like, okay, this is weird. And they love us. They're like clapping, they're cheering, they're dancing. It's amazing. Okay, get to Seattle, same deal. 110 people. They're jumping, they're partying. I'm like, this is okay. Portland, same thing. I'm like, this is nuts. And we felt cool. Like for the first time, we felt accepted. We felt validated. And the audience was cool. I mean, if you remember correctly, this is like 2004. So these were like first generation MySpace hipsters, like the patient zeros of the asymmetrical haircut. But like we're on a high. But more importantly, we start thinking. I'm like, this band that I started, I think it's going to connect. I think it's going to work. I see it. It's working. So all of a sudden, we get a little cocky. We're like, okay, this is lit. So after Portland, we're driving, our agent calls us, and she's like, look, Portland to San Fran is a really long drive. So I'm going to break it up for you guys. I got you like a small show. It's in Santa Rosa, California. It's nice, wine country. Be nice. One other thing. You guys are opening for the Chippendales. Hold on. Drink that in. So I said, this is great. Chippendales, I just imagined like a sea of sex-starved cougars, just rabid, sex-crazed women. The Chippendales are a finite number of men. There's going to be more women in the audience. P and I are on say, this is great. I'm like, perfect. I'll take it. Great news. So we're driving, it's a long drive. Agent calls again. And she's like, okay, change of plans. What's up? No more Chippendales. You guys are headlining. Okay, fine. First of all, to be perfectly honest, I was like, fuck yeah, we're headlining with Chromeo. I just sold out a 100-person show in Portland, Oregon. I'm right, I'm headlining. So we get to the venue. Fine, whatever. Unpack our stuff. We see a little poster. Due to unforeseen circumstances, there's no Chippendales tonight. Chromeo's playing at 8:30, no problem. We're in a rush. I'm not asking any questions. We get to the dressing room. We start getting ready. The promoters come, and there are these two kind of like college frat bro dudes. And they're like, hey guys, we're huge fans, and it's awesome to have you. And we're like, yeah. And he's like, we made you guys some homemade spaghetti. I know you're probably hungry. And they give us Tupperwares of spaghetti. And I'm like, really? All right. Eat a little bit of spaghetti, whatever. And then we go play, we had to get ready and we start playing. So we go downstairs, and that's when I really saw what we were dealing with. The venue was a saloon, all right? So I'm talking like wood paneling, the saloon doors that go like this, pool table. There was like taxidermy. There were carriage wheels. There were like strange flags hanging from the ceiling. I was like, this is not the place for electro-funk already. I'm like, and the saloon was empty. There was not a soul in the saloon. Actually, there were 4 people, but I'm not sure they had souls. There was a barman, and I remember he had like an eye patch and a ponytail. At the bar, talking to the barman with like this kind of like aging cougar looking straight at him, and they're talking. There was a drunken bum who was asleep at the end. And then there was like an 80s heavy metal sound guy, like the crabby 80s heavy metal sound guy. He didn't even acknowledge our existence. We're plugging in our gear, this guy's ignoring us completely. And we're like, okay, this is gonna be hard. So we're like, okay, but we've done worse than this, it's fine. Also, in front of us, there's like an empty dance floor, but it was like there was no one on there. It looked like an Olympic pool. It was like so deep and long. And the promoters, the 2 frat bros, they're not even on the dance floor because they don't want to get on the nobody wants to get on the dance floor. They're like on the side of the stage being like, all right, guys. So we're like, okay. So we start play one song, finish the song, silence. All right, fine. Play another song, finish it, silence. And like I could hear the Miller Lite sign buzzing, the neon, and it was like there. And I could hear the cougar and the barman talking, like the conversation was going on the whole time. So it was like, damn. And my first husband says to me, he says, like that. It was crazy. I'm like, okay, this is not good. The tension in the air was palpable, like you could cut through it. So we finished the song, silence, and I'm like, hey, what's up? We're Chromeo, and we're best friends from childhood, and we play electro funk. Not a sound, right? And then I don't know why I said this. Like I don't understand why this sentence came out of me. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, we're not the Chippendales. And then from the other end of the Olympic pool, the sound guy, the heavy metal guy goes, the Chippendales are dead! And all of a sudden, first of all, the bum wakes up, the cougar looks at us, and then the promoter runs out and goes like, guys, I'm so sorry, man. I know that was really weird. I mean, it was so fucked up the way it happened. It's like the Chippendales van caught on fire, and apparently 9 of them are in the hospital. It's like really messed. I'm like, yeah, it would have been nice to know before we got on stage. P and I look at each other in horror. We're mortified. We grab our guitars. We run off a stage. We're like, what the fuck was that? And we packed the car. We've never packed this RAV4 as fast as we packed it that night. It was unbelievable. It was like accelerated Tetris the way we were just so P and I are driving like in silence, not a word, not a sound. We're just driving like this, you know? We're still feeling awful, like I feel like shit about the show. I feel like shit about the Chippendales. I feel like shit about my band. I feel like shit about my life. But like something about that breeze, it made me feel like alive again, you know? And then P puts in a Hall & Oates CD and like Kiss on My List comes on and we just start bobbing our heads. And I kind of look at him like this. He looks at me like that and we're just like, is this the Kiss? I'm like, I'm kind of hungry. So I reach for the Tupperware, you know? And then it just dawns on me. I'm like, man, even after the shittiest show of my entire life, I'm in a kick-ass RAV4 with my best friend. We're having a road trip. We're listening to Hall & Oates. And suddenly, you know what? That spaghetti ain't so bad. Thank you.
Dave Macklovitch one more time, y'all.